my way over to a homeowner who would like a ceiling fan and light switched separately, hung in their living room. I'll show you how I do it. Here we are at the homeowners, and this is where they would like the ceiling fan and light mounted. You can see there's a blank plate on there now. We'll pull that off and see what's in there. The homeowner did say there's two switches that they've never known what they were used for because they don't do anything. So my hope is, because the homeowner would like to switch the light and the fan separately, is that there is a 14 3-wire going from these two switches up to the blank plate, which is where the ceiling fan will go. Before starting this project, be sure to turn the breaker off and the light switches. We'll go ahead and pull that plate off. Using my own meter, I'm going to turn it to AC volts, 750. Turn this on. Reading 0. I'm just verifying that the power's off. I'm going to touch the black to the white wire and the red to the black wire, and we've got nothing. And then I'm going to keep the black to the white wire and touch the red wire, and we've got nothing there. So I've confirmed the power is off. Just real quick, I wanted to tell you how these light switches are wired. The wire coming in, you've got your ground wire here, which goes to the green ground screw on the light switch. And then in this case, they looped it over and tied it into the green wire on that switch. So both these switches are grounded. And we come over here and you've got your black wire. Now your black wire coming in goes to the bottom screw on the first switch, and then they looped that over to the bottom screw on the second switch. So you've got power going to both switches. Now we need to send that power up to the ceiling fan and the light. So the black wire is going to run the fan, and that's hooked to the top screw on this light switch. So when you turn the switch on, it sends power from the bottom screw up to the top screw and sends this power to turn your fan on. And the same thing on the other switch. We've got power coming into the switch, and then this red wire goes to the light in the ceiling fan. So when your switch is turned on, it sends power from this bottom screw to the top screw, which turns your light on, and you turn the switch off, and it turns it off. Then all the common wires are tied underneath the wire nut. They do not wire into the light switches. First thing you want to do before mounting the ceiling fan is make sure you have a good metal box mounted against a floor joist, or in this case we've got floor trusses in this house. And this is a metal box, and it is very, very secure. So we're ready to mount, and we'll put the screws in for the mounting bracket. I like to start them by hand, and you leave them hanging down about 1 inch. On this side of the mounting bracket, there's a little slot that the screw goes in, and the other side will just slide in there. So you got to run the wires through the middle of the bracket. Slide that in like that, and the other side barely catches over here, but it does. And then we can tighten that down. Now that's good and solid. Now we're ready to mount the fan and light base. Before you do that, this collar has to go on. You just run the wires through it, and then just put it at an angle like that, and it slides on. Now there is a hole on this collar and a hook on the back of this mounting bracket, and you just hook that into the hole there, and this holds the fan base in place So you can go ahead and wire this up. Now this is a flush mount. There's no down rod being used because there's not enough headroom. So you can either trim this wire back to about 1 foot of wire, or it can be wrapped around this mounting plate. In case you ever have a down rod, you might want to have the option of the extra wire. So we're going to go ahead and save the wire and just mount it, wrap it around this plate. Okay, we've got our black wire, our red wire, and our white common wire, and then our ground wire right here. The blue wire, which is this one here, goes to the red wire. And I'm going to twist those together to get it started and put the wire nut on, pull on the wire. We've got a good secure connection there. Next wire is our white wire, and we'll connect it to this white wire. And pull on the wire again. I like to twist it so that you get at least a turn or two outside the wire nut of the two together. And then we'll do our black wire. Twist them together. And when you trim your wires, you want to make sure that you don't take so much insulation off that you've got bare wires sticking out past the wire nuts. That's very important, because if you do and the wires touch, you're going to get a short and a possibility of a fire. And I went a couple turns past, and we've got a good secure connection on all these. And last, we'll do the ground wire. That's the green wire going to the bare copper wire. And pull on that, we've got a good secure connection. And if you'd like, as an extra precaution, you can tape over the wire nuts to secure the connection and make sure that you don't get any shorts. Okay, now we want to tuck all the wires in, get them out of the way. Alright, got those all pushed up out of the way. There's 2 screws on the base. One there, and one on the other side. And on the fan motor assembly, we've got this slot with a groove. We're going to tuck all the wires in. There we go. And there we go. And I got it locked in there. Now we'll snug down these 2 mounting screws first. And the one on the other side is the same as that one. And then here and here, we've got 2 screws that just go in screw holes. They're fixed. They're not notched like that. The motor assembly all secured. Now we just slip the canopy ring up, and these little screws need to line up with the notches and pockets on the trim ring. You just slide it up and then turn it. That locks it in place. Next, on this particular model, the fan blades actually just snap in. Typically you'll have to screw them in with a couple screws, but this just snaps in. You just slide it in. 1 click, 2 clicks. Next, this light pan goes in. There's a couple screws that I put in previously, and they'll go in these notches, and then you just turn it That'll lock it in place, and then there's a third screw that holds it all in place. Bring your wire through. There's one, there's the other, turn it. Then you take a Phillips screwdriver and tighten it down. And the third screw goes in this hole right here. Good, and then we can snug the other two down. Good. Good. And then we can connect these two, they just snap together. There we go. Next, we'll install, they call this the light kit fitter assembly. And you just hook the white wire to the white wire, and actually this is the blue wire to the black wire. And then there's the slotted holes again. They've got two screws that are loose, and then a third one over here to tighten it up. Then we just put the bulbs in. They came with this kit, they're LED bulbs. And the lens goes on. There's grooves in here and nubs in here. So you line that up and turn it. You've got pull chains, one to operate the light, the other to operate the fan, and then a forward and reverse switch here. Now we can go back to the breaker panel, turn the breaker back on. Now we'll go ahead and test the fan. And now the light. And that's how easy it is to wire and install a ceiling fan and light. If this video was a help to you, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And I look forward to helping you with other projects online.